What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler, and you can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Monday, May 5th. We'll start things off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league, kicking things off with the bad news as we'll look at our IL placements, starting things off with outfielder Jesse Winker, who was officially placed on the 10-day IL with a grade 2 oblique strain. That is exactly yesterday what we talked about, as we expected, oblique strain, 10-day IL for Jesse Winker. Unfortunately, the grade 2 designation means Winker is going to miss 6 to 8 weeks with this oblique strain. Starling Marte filled in at DH in the first game in Winker's absence, though that position is likely to be used as a carousel to let regulars get a day off. Brett Beatty was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move, and I'm going to take a victory lap for calling that one, though that one was pretty straightforward, pretty easy to call. It looks like he is not going to get as much playing time at second base as he did prior to being sent down to the minors earlier this year. Next, we'll look at outfielder Yordan Alvarez, who was placed on the 10-day IL with right hand inflammation. That explains his 79 WRC plus on the season. And honestly, it's a good thing, because for a hitter as good as Alvarez, it's hard to explain such a dramatic fall off at the plate. So an injury was really the only explanation. And if he's not on the injured list, then you expect him to be playing through an injury. So I'd rather have him healing and return fully healthy and looking like the regular Yordan Alvarez we expect. And hopefully we see that in just a couple of weeks here as Alvarez recovers from right hand inflammation. Jose Altuve shifted to DH in the first game without Alvarez, but that really suggests that the position is going to be used to give regulars a day off, just like it is going to be used in Queens. It looks like Zach DeCenzo and Cam Smith will see more playing time moving forward as they get shots in the corner outfield. Our last IL placement involves starting pitcher Shota Imanaga, who's placed on the 15-day IL with a hamstring strain. He's been pulled early from each of his last two starts with a hamstring injury, so it was expected that Imanaga was going to have to spend time on the IL after the second one. He's expected to miss more than 2 weeks, so Imanaga will be out for longer than the minimum 15-day stint. Gavin Hollowell was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move, but a rotation replacement is still unclear for the Cubs. It's likely going to be Jordan Wicks, as he's the only starter on the 40-man roster in the minor leagues. In terms of transactions, third baseman Royce Lewis is expected to be activated, or was activated, from the 10-day IL, but the Twins did not play on Monday, so we didn't get to see where he's going to bat, where he's going to play. I'd expect a little more DH early on, but we should see him playing third base every day. That's Royce Lewis of the Twins. And the Twins also activated Willie Castro from the 10-day IL. He's been out with an oblique strain. Like I said, Twins didn't play on Monday, so we don't know how everything's going to shake out. But Mickey Gasper and Edouard Julien were demoted to the minors in a corresponding move, and I called that one too. So I was sort of on fire yesterday. I didn't say that those guys were going to be demoted, but I did say that they would be the players to see their playing time decrease the largest. So I'll take that one. Now let's take a look at our news, starting with outfielder Evan Carter, who is expected to be recalled from the minors today. At AAA, he's been batting .221 with 3 homers and 6 steals to go with a 14% walk rate and a 26% strikeout rate. All of that put together gives you a 96 WRC plus for Evan Carter at AAA. He's hitting over 50% fly balls, and it's unclear where playing time is going to be available in the outfield for the Rangers. So I don't think Evan Carter is somebody you need to run to the wire to pick up. And our last bit of news involves outfielder Jackson Merrill, who's expected to be activated from the 10-day IL today. He wasn't activated yesterday as expected. Apparently, that day off was a scheduled final stage of his rehab. He did miss nearly a month with a hamstring strain, so the Padres do want to take it easy on their star center fielder, but Jackson Merrill will reclaim everyday center field duties once he's activated today, which will force Tyler Wade to the bench. Now let's take a look at some of our notable performances from Monday, a day in which we had just 9 games on the slate as the matchup between the Guardians and the Nationals was postponed. We'll start it off with our hitters, leading off with first baseman Alec Burleson, who helped the Cardinals to win versus the Pirates, going 1-for-4 with a run, a home run, and an RBI. It was his second homer of the year, and it traveled 435 feet at 108 miles per hour. Burleson is now homered in back-to-back games, and if you're paying attention, that's 2 homers in 2 games and his only 2 homers on the season. So it looks like something's changing here for Burleson. He's looking to build off his breakout 2024, where he batted .269 with 21 homers and 9 steals, but it's not going too well thus far. As I mentioned before 2 days ago, he had no home runs, but he's batting .255 with a 646 OPS after Monday. I really think it's because he's hitting an obscene amount of pop-ups, which suggests that something really is out of whack. He's also swinging out of the zone more often than he is in the zone. He's swinging in the zone less often than he did last year. So I think everything is totally out of whack for Burleson, but it feels like he's finally locking in with these pair of home runs across the past 2 days. And the Cardinals are noticing somewhat, moving him to the 2-hole on Monday, which is usually Mason Wynn's spot. He was dealing with an injury, didn't play. So I think Burleson is probably not going to be in the 2-hole moving forward, but the fact that they put him there, I think suggests that there is a bit of confidence. And with Jordan Walker failing to produce, Burleson should see more playing time in the outfield moving forward, if not at DH and at first base. And I think I wouldn't quite give up on Alec Burleson in 15 team leagues just yet. On the other side of that game, we'll take a look at outfielder Brian Reynolds, who did all he could, but the Pirates lost in St. Louis. He went 1-for-5 with a run, a home run, and 2 runs batted in. It was his 5th homer of the year, and it traveled 388 feet at 108 miles per hour. Reynolds is one of the most reliable and consistent players in baseball. He's hit at least 24 homers while batting at least .262 in each of the past 4 seasons. He's also become a double-digit contributor in the stolen base department, but Reynolds has gotten off to a slow start this year, batting just .231 with a 667 OPS, while striking out at his highest rate since 2020. However, the rest of Reynolds' underlying metrics suggest a surge is on the way. He's sporting a career-high barrel rate, and on top of that, he's batting second every day for the Pirates, behind O'Neal Cruz. So I think Reynolds needs to continue to be rostered universally. Now we'll close our hitters out with outfielder Trent Grisham, who did all he could, but the Yankees lost to the Padres. He went 1-for-3 with a run, a home run, 2 runs batted in, and a walk. It was his 9th homer of the year, and it traveled 390 feet at 103 miles per hour. It's time to check in on Grisham after his hot start to the year to see if it's still sustainable. The batting average likely isn't real. He's batting .298 right now, and he's batted just .241 over the past 4 weeks. So that suggests that batting average is going to fall. Even if that .241 batting average comes with a low BABIP, I think that makes sense for a guy who's hitting more than 50% fly balls. But outside of that, Grisham's power is definitely legit. He's maintained a 14% barrel rate throughout the season, which suggests that he's a guy that's got the potential to hit 30 home runs. He's also striking out less by being more aggressive, which suggests that we'll see more offensive firepower while maintaining the low strikeout rate, which suggests that the batting average could tick up a little more than it was last year when it was below 200. And on top of everything for Grisham, he's a lefty who calls Yankee Stadium home, and he's now leading off every day for the Yankees directly in front of Aaron Judge. So those run numbers are going to be off the charts. I think Grisham needs to be rostered in the majority of leagues. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Monday, check out the daily Batters Box article over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with AJ Smith-Shawver, who helped the Braves to win versus the Reds, tossing 8 shutout innings, allowing 1 hit and 4 walks while striking out 5. He induced 10 whiffs with 26% CSW across 99 pitches. And I have to say that Smith-Shawver got away with a lot here. The Reds let him pump heaters in the zone all day for 72% strikes and 14 called strikes. He induced 5 whiffs and 33% CSW on the pitch as well. It makes sense for Smith-Shawver as he boasts 7 feet of extension, 95 mile per hour velo, 16 inches of IVB, and around 1.5 degrees of Hava. but the locations aren't really good for Smith-Shawver with the fastball, and a more aggressive and potent offense will likely make him pay in the future. In terms of secondaries on Monday, he did not get a lot of help. The splitter induced 4 whiffs, but were wild and earned just 45% strikes and 14% CSW, while he failed to land his curve in the zone to steal strikes. It earned just 42% strikes, stealing just 2 called strikes with 1 whiff and 25% CSW, while he threw just 1 slider. Smith-Shawver is still very unpolished, and don't let the 8 shutout innings and just 1 hit fool you. But that all that being said, maybe his fastball could take down the Pirates in Pittsburgh next. So what I'm really saying here is that Smith-Shawver really looked great on Monday, but he got away with a lot of pitches in the middle of the zone, got away with with a passive lineup against him. And maybe he can do it again against the Pirates because they're not that great, but I wouldn't suggest to hold on to him throughout the year because he's very unpolished at the moment. Next, we'll talk about Matthew Boyd, who helped the Cubs to win versus the Giants, tossing 6 shutout innings, allowing just 5 hits and 2 walks while striking out 7. He induced 16 whiffs with 28% CSW across 94 pitches, and Boyd faced a right-handed batting heavy lineup and commanded his arsenal beautifully. The fastballs landed upstairs constantly to great effect. He got 77% strikes on the pitch with 7 whiffs and 28% CSW. It's on the heater, while he located his changeup low and arm side for 7 whiffs as well and 36% CSW. Boyd threw just 7 sliders and curves, and this was really just the start of him cooking with the location and change of speeds. And honestly, Boyd is really a guy who is a sure bet to produce a solid line against all but the best of offenses. You rarely see him blow up, especially at this point in his career where we seem to be past all of the injuries and he's learned a lot. Like all the way back in Detroit, there was so much up and down with Boyd, but now he seems to be a really solid Toby, honestly, with a higher floor than most of them. But his lack of punch outs is going to keep him in that Toby range, which means he'll be on the edge of the waiver wire all season. I think you can drop Boyd after this start. He gets the Mets and Queens next. It's not the best start there for Boyd, but he's definitely somebody we can trust as a streamer throughout the year. And now we'll look at Landon Rupp on the other side of Boyd. He did all he could, but the Giants lost in Chicago. Rupp tossed 5 innings, allowing 5 hits and 2 earned runs. He walked nobody while striking out 4, inducing 5 whiffs and 32% CSW across 77 pitches. And it's been back-to-back rough starts for Rupp after a great opening to the season. And this start was his last chance to really stick on 12-teamers. His sinker is still down more than 2 miles per hour, but the Cubs were extremely passive, allowing Rupp's sinker to steal 11 called strikes for an 83% strike rate and 43% CSW, while his curve was effectively spotted at the bottom of the zone for 66% strikes, 6 called strikes, 3 whiffs, and 26% CSW. The changeup made an appearance as well, but it wasn't more than a change of speeds. And the reliance on called strikes here isn't really confidence-inducing from Rupp. We saw just 5 whiffs here across 77 pitches. But if he's earning strikes on his sinker and curve, and like I said, we saw an 83% strike rate on the sinker and 66% on the curveball, I think he's going to find success moving forward. Whether or not he can do that consistently from start to start is still to be seen. In deeper 12-teamers, I think I'd still be holding on to Rupp for his start in Minnesota next. But if you like a breakdown of every single start from Monday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves. Starting with the former, Edwin Diaz recorded his 8th save with a perfect 9th. Robert Suarez recorded his major league leading 14th save with a perfect 9th. Kirby Yates recorded his first save with a perfect 9th. Tanner Scott recorded the final 2 outs of the 8th in that one. For his 4th hold, they needed him to get out of the jam, so it made sense to use their best arm as a high leverage reliever, and that's why Yates was set up for a save in the 9th. Carlos Estevez recorded his 10th save with a scoreless 9th. And lastly, Ryan Helsley recorded his 6th save with a scoreless 9th of his own. And now we'll take a look at the closers to pitch outside of safe situations or below their saves, starting with Devin Williams and Luke Weaver, who combined to blow the Yankees' 3-run lead in the 8th. It's been a rough going for the Yankees bullpen, and to see both of your late inning arms struggle like this is really disappointing. One of these guys are going to have to step up. Otherwise, we're going to see some crazy names in the 9th inning for the Yankees. Mason Miller pitched a hitless 9th in a tie game that the A's would go on to win in 11 innings. And Andres Munoz blew his first save, allowing the zombie runner to score in the 10th, but he worked out of a bases loaded, no outs jam to push the game to the 11th, where the Mariners eventually lost, but still very impressive from Andres Munoz. But if you'd like more information on relievers, make sure to check out Rick Graham's weekly articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before we look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now we'll look forward to Tuesday, May 6th, the day in which we'll have a full slate of 16 games, as we'll have a doubleheader between the Guardians and the Nationals. My matchup of the day is Nathan Eovaldi versus Lucas Giolito. Eovaldi's been great all season. He's taken on his former team in the Red Sox, and I'm looking forward to see him dominate once again. And on the other side, Giolito, in his second start of the season, looking for him to replicate what he did in the first one, because I had him on my home league team and I benched him because it was his first start of the season, first time back in a couple years. I was very nervous with how that one would go, and it went really well. And I was unfortunately had him on my bench and missed out on a lot of points. So I'm definitely going to be starting him in that one and looking forward for him to replicate or even surpass his success in his season debut. In terms of probable starters, we've got 8 guys in our auto starts here, including Eovaldi. We've also got Zach Wheeler in Tampa Bay, Paul Skeens in St. Louis, and Chris Sale versus the Reds. In our probably starts here, we've got 7 guys, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day in Lucas Giolito versus the Rangers. As I mentioned, Giolito found a lot of success in his first start of the season. His fastball was back to his pre-injury levels. His changeup, he had a great feel of it. Unfortunately, not a great third pitch here. The slider was all over the place, but I think he can dominate just enough with that fastball and changeup, and a third pitch would just be icing on the cake for Giolito. I'm starting him there. I'd also keep an eye out for Tyler Anderson versus the Blue Jays. He's been on a roll all season, hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any of his starts. The changeup control or command has been incredible. The Blue Jays aren't that formidable of a lineup, and I think Anderson can take him down. He's somebody that you're looking for a quality start, though. You're not looking for a lot of strikeouts here from Tyler Anderson. In terms of hitter suggestions, I go for Guardians and Nationals hitters in their doubleheader. We'll see Luis Ortiz versus Jake Irvin in the first game, and then Ben Lively versus Brad Lord in the second game. I think you'll find a lot of production from the hitters in this doubleheader. I'd also take a look at Tigers and Rockies hitters in Coors. Pretty self-explanatory. The pitching matchup, Jackson Jobe versus Chase Dolander. So go ahead and target some left-handed hitting Tigers and Rockies. Now we'll close things out with our relievers to watch. Mason Miller has thrown 55 pitches in the last 3 days, and Tyler Ferguson has pitched 3 days in a row. So I think we could see Justin Sterner get a save for the A's on Tuesday. Edwin Diaz has pitched in back-to-back days, so maybe we see Ryan Stanek get a save opportunity for the Mets on Tuesday. And lastly, Ryan Helsley has pitched on back-to-back days and in 3 of the past 4, but Phil Maton has pitched on back-to-back days, and so has Cal Leahy. So maybe we see Jojo Romero get a save opportunity for the Cardinals on Tuesday. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler. Tune in live on YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. And make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.